Today on the Ask Brady Show, we talk about the best timing to post for social media. Well, hey there, Pro Church Nation, and welcome to the Ask Brady Show, episode number 31. We've got 4 great questions from the people of Pro Church Nation, and I'm joined once again back from vacation. To my left, your right, it's Roxanne.
That's true.
True it is, behind the camera, the editing wizard himself, Joe Nex. And the man with the cam, Alex Mills.
Thanks. It's not really as special as it sounds because I work here, but I'm here.
All right, Roxanne, you are back from vacation. Before we dive into the first question, anything you want to say about vacation?
It was wonderful. I went to the gym a lot.
Nice. All right, let's take it away with the first question.
So the first question comes from Sam, and he sent in a video question.
Hi, Brady and Roxanne. This is Sam in Taiwan. Just had a question about storage. You know, every week for every event, we make videos, we take photos, make MP3s, etc. And these things need to be stored afterwards. So we use things like PC. In the past, you'd use CDs or DVDs or external drives or even cloud storage. I'm wondering what your recommendation would be about storing these things and what's the most cost-effective way and secure way to keep these things for the history of the church. Thank you.
Thanks for the question, Sam. Storage is one of those topics that is so super important, but it's not a sexy topic. It's not fun to talk about. And it's also not fun to spend money on storage, which is usually what's required. But when something catastrophic happens, like a drive fails or you lose something or, technology doesn't show up when you expect it to, having proper storage and sufficient backup is one of the most happy, exciting, thrilling things to know that all of your hard work isn't lost. Mm-hmm. So there are basically 3 types of storage that you can consider, okay, when this comes to modern technology. The first is having an online backup. So an online backup would be something like Backblaze, CrashPlan, Amazon Glacier. Amazon Glacier is something that we use that I highly recommend if you're storing a ton of video or photos, which is what you alluded to, I think. We have, 30 terabytes worth of video footage on our server. And if our server crashes, it's RAID redundant, so ideally we wouldn't lose the footage, but let's say it burned up, and it was consumed in a fire. We use Amazon Glacier as our backup service, and Amazon Glacier is part of their AWS storage system series of web tools. What's different about Glacier than compared to, let's say, S3 is Glacier's specifically meant to not be accessed very frequently. So you upload the stuff and it's there, but you're not going to download it unless absolutely needed. Whereas S3, which is where we host, footage that needs to be downloaded. So for instance, if we create an edition of video announcements, we put that up on S3 so that a church client can download it immediately whenever they want. Glacier is just there like as a backup just in case. Mm-hmm. The great thing about Glacier is that it's a lot cheaper. So I think it only costs us like 30 to 40, 50 bucks a month to store 30 terabytes worth of footage. And I have an automatic sequence that runs every Saturday to upload and update that entire series of footage. So whatever changes that we've made to files on the server throughout the week, it gets updated. The second thing that you want to have is an actual just like external hard drive backup. So we're using a RAID server, so this has it built in. But before we had a server, we had a hard drive that was hooked up to each of our computers, and this had exact replica of the storage that was on that computer. So if that computer was filled with 10 gigabytes or let's say 100 gigabytes worth of video footage, that would also be on the external hard drive. It was mirrored in that way. And this would update every week as well. The third type of storage is a mirrored drive of like the entire system, startup, operating system, everything that's actually on your computer. So this is called like a clone. So we used a tool called Carbon Copy, I think that it was called Carbon Copy. And so basically it would replicate that if the hard drive failed, if something failed on the computer, it would be able to like start all over again. Like the operating system was on there, like all the temporary files, all the programs, the applications, as well as the storage and all that stuff as well. So we're getting to the point where like digital storage is absolutely the cheapest. You could also consider an off-site backup. This has been something that we've been considering setting up, and eventually we will with our server. Like I mentioned, what happens if it burns up in flames? Well, if we have a backup server off-site at my house, ideally, the flames wouldn't have reached my house, even though it is kind of close to the office, and that would give us that backup as well. And so, it's one of those things where like it's not sexy. When we first set up backups for all of our computers, it cost like $3,000 to buy like 30 drives because we had 10 computers and each needed like 2 different or 3 different backups. It was annoying. It was an annoying expense. But then we had the peace of mind that if anything ever went, wonky, we wouldn't lose all of that stuff. Mm-hmm. The nice thing about the internet speeds that exist now is that they're only going up. Like fiber is going to be everywhere soon. The stuff as fast as like Google, where you're getting like, gigabytes per second. And once we get to that point, uploading terabytes worth of footage online is a completely viable option. Whereas even now, it's nicer to have like an external hard drive because, it's kind of clunky and it needs more space and it's more expensive, but it's usually faster to back up than something like online, especially if you have tons of space. It all comes down to how much space you have. We didn't back up our entire catalog online before we moved into this office. Once we moved in here, we had internet that was, 250 up, 250 down, and that allowed us to store everything online. So that's the way to do it. When it comes to external hard drives, we use LaCie, LACIE, LaCie external hard drives. They're orange, they're Thunderbolt, they're USB, and they are just our recommended external hard drive of choice.
Very good. All right. Next question comes from Brandon Cole, and he says, Brady, what is the best time of day for Facebook live broadcast? Interview style, so not live event logistics to worry about.
So finding the right time to post on social media is something that I think is usually overestimated. Like, is that the word? Overestimated?
Yeah, like you mean too many people emphasize it too much?
Yeah. Overemphasized. Like people think that it matters more than it does. I think, and I did this myself, it's one of those things that you can use as a crutch to not actually post.
Right.
The best time to post is to post a ton and then go through our 3-step social media grading system that looks at the 30 posts that you made, analyzes the time of each, and which ones perform the best, post them. Now, there are tools that you can use, and there are tools that you can use that will analyze your particular social media base and some of the data that those social media platforms are willing to share, and using the API, they can connect and see, oh, look, it's probably best for you to post at this time. Now, I don't actually have any recommendations for this for Facebook because every one of these tools is often platform specific. So like Iconosquare has a feature within it for Instagram. I don't know of one for Facebook, though I have used one before. I don't know if one for Facebook even exists, actually. I know I've used one for Twitter and Instagram. One for Facebook may exist, and this may be like, something that's ignorant on my point. But what I would reiterate is the fact that this is something that probably doesn't matter. Like, people are on Facebook at all times. Okay, as long as you're not posting in between 11 p.m. and 5 a.m., you're probably good. Now, we've experimented with this ourselves, and we found that 9 a.m. is really a good time for us to post. This is right when, hypothetically, like if I'm imagining why this is good, like this is right when everyone's getting to work. So if you're a church pastor leader that follows us, you're getting to work, and you see this on your Facebook feed, and you watch it before, you dive into the workday, something like that. But, for you, if I had to take a guess, generalizing here, and your specific audience will be unique, and again, the best way to find it out is to experiment and then go through that 3-step social media grading system, and we'll link that. The best thing for you to do, I think generally, is to post in the evenings. That's going to be my best guess. This is when people have, after their long day, they're sitting on the couch, maybe the kids are off to bed and they're just scrolling through their phones. And if you have a Facebook Live, right around 7:30, 8, like that might be a great time. Maybe 6:37, started a bit earlier, and that'll allow people to check it on the replay a little bit later once it's been posted. So I think generalizing, that would probably be the best time to post. But this is one of those things that probably does not matter very much, especially because Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook all now have news feeds with algorithms to show people what they think is best. It used to be, most recently on Twitter was the most recent platform that still did this, that you would see things in chronological order. But social platforms began to realize that, look, this is actually going to be a bad user experience for people because they're going to see stuff that they actually don't care about. They think they want to see everything, but they don't. So we need to create these algorithms to show people what they want to see. And this just goes to show you how much data that big social platforms have on us, because they know what we want to see based on how much we hover, how much we click, how much we watch, how much we read. And so timing just doesn't matter as much anymore. You create a great piece of content, it's going to get shared, and it's going to show up in people's news feeds hours, days afterwards. We posted a video on the Pro Church Tools Facebook page about millennials a couple weeks ago. It ended up getting like 20,000 views all organically. Normally our videos get about 1,000 to 2,000 views organically. And so this was all upon the backs of a really quality post that got shared. And 2, 3, 4 days later, I was still getting comments on this video. Why? Well, because it was quality that people liked. It didn't matter when we posted it, it showed up. So don't stress over the time to post, firstly. Secondly, recognize that content on social media, because of the algorithms, will show up well after you post it. It's not like, old school Twitter where you send it up and if people don't see it in 4 to 5 minutes, it's gone forever. 3, wait. No, I had a really... What was there? Oh, yeah, right. 3rd, if I had to generalize, it's probably best to do it in the evening. If I had to guess, just because that's when people are home and that's when people are usually on social media the most, but that's a generalization. 4, you can try to use some tools if you want to have that confidence and certainty that a custom tool has checked your specific audience. But, I think that might be a waste of money if it does cost money. And then 5, the best way to do it is post a ton, experiment a ton for 30, 60, 90 days, then look at what's performing best, go through that 3-step social media grading system. Engagement divided by reach is the formula for that. See which ones are performing the best, and then take your top 10 posts and look at when they were posted. I think you'll probably find a commonality, like 6, 7, 8, 9 out of the 10 were posted, in the evening. Well, now you know.
Right. All right. 3rd question comes from Adam, and he says, my question would be, what are the best practices for photo management? It's overwhelming to me to think about keeping track of a large amount of photos and finding what I want when I want it. Do you keep all of your photos organized in folders? Do you tag them somehow? What are your thoughts?
So I myself am not a photography expert. Might come as a surprise to some people. It often comes as a surprise to myself. I know a lot about shooting video. You put a camera in my hand and say, take a photo, and I'll just throw it against a wall because that has a better chance of shooting a photo than me, myself, using the shutter button. So with that being said, I did ask the resident photo expert, the man with the cam, Alex Mills.
Thanks. It's not really as special as it sounds.
About what he does, because he has a giant catalog of photos in his own personal collection, from shooting at church, shooting weddings, and all that stuff, shooting personal. And so I asked him, okay, how do you keep track of all that? And so basically, there's 2 things to consider. 1, the folder architecture of how you actually store the photos, exported the raw. And then secondly, the tagging within your specific photography editing software. So Alex uses Lightroom, and he told me that when you're importing photos into Lightroom, one of the most best things about Lightroom is that it has this very extensive, advanced, and sophisticated tagging infrastructure. And so basically, when you import a photo, what Alex does is he adds a ton of tags. So let's say he takes a photo of a Christmas tree. He's going to tag it Christmas, Christmas tree, ornament, green, red, Hanukkah, and he'll make it so that when he, let's say, needs to look for a Christmas-themed image in the future, he can just type into Lightroom Christmas, and now he's got, the dozens of photos that are all Christmas there. So this comes down to your ability to tag properly, to tag extensively and smartly, and then also to actually have your photos tagged. So if you haven't been doing this the whole time, you might need to go back, retag them, and then start using this system going forward. So that's the first thing. That's one of the things that makes Lightroom great. Beyond that, you'd actually have your folder infrastructure. And Roxanne will tell you that personally, I am a little bit particular about how folders are set up, and I have been known to go on a tirade against some individuals, not Roxanne, within this organization that seem to be a little less particular about their folder infrastructure and do not care.
It's true.
Rogue employees who create folders in the grandfather system of Pro Church Tools, Nucleus, Story Tape, Pro Video Announcements, memes. All right? That does not belong in the grandfather system. Put it in your own personal desktop. Clutter your own desktop. Don't clutter my files.
Except that's kind of a lie because you also give us lectures on having a cluttered desktop.
Yeah, in my world, you'd be perfect in both ends. But clearly, these are sick people that love having a cluttered desktop. They're like, ooh, there's still some space over here. Let me put another meme here. Meme. I love memes. They're the best memes. Kind of just organically fell into that impersonation. You know, I was thinking about this yesterday. Like, every president, like, is really fun to impersonate. Like, Obama was such a good president to impersonate.
Right.
Trump's a great one. Bush was great. Clinton was great. Nixon was great. Like, every president is like just, are they purposely like caricatures? Like, it's just great. Anyway, side note. Point being, I love having very particular and organized folder structure. So it's like folder, subfolder, 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 image. So that also comes down to your particularness, your particularity, and your willingness to put in the work ahead of time to get that infrastructure making sense for you. And then also upkeeping, right? Because especially with photography, you're working with hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands of photos. Very quickly, that can become cluttered. Even if you have a good infrastructure started, if you don't keep to that very strictly, over the weeks and months and years, it can become, cluttered again. And so this is why it's nice to have a two-pronged system, tagging and folders. That way, you've got kind of like two different options for identifying and finding a photo when you need it. So that's what I would recommend.
Perfect. All right. Last question comes from Paul, and he says, my mission for our social media platforms is to be the church outside of Sundays. In order to really be successful, I feel like we should have a team of social media volunteers who are just as passionate about social media as I am. The thing I would like some tips on or advice is building a team that holds those values and understands social media. How would you go about building that team?
Thanks for the question, Paul. My first question for you would be, why are you certain that you need a whole team to manage your social media platforms? Now, I don't know the church that Paul is interning at. Could be a church of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,000, where something like that might be necessary. But most churches are, 1, 2, 300 in size. Most churches, I think, don't need multiple people on their social media team. With that being said, look, invest more people into social. I love it. But here at Pro Church Tools, we have Instagram, Facebook groups, Twitter, YouTube, the blog, the podcast. Anything else that I'm missing?
I don't think so.
Sorry, Snapchat, we gave up on you. But the point is that we have a lot of social platforms, all of which I am taking care of. And I don't really think that it takes that much time if you're just smart about it and you really just do your prep ahead of time. So for instance, I'm going away this week. I'm headed to Milwaukee and then Minneapolis, or in the inverse of that. By the time you're watching this, I'll already be back. But the point is that I'm gone for the whole work week except for Monday. Right now, I have the entire week's set of social already prepared. The blog posts are scheduled to publish. The podcasts are recorded and ready to go. Instagram posts all 7 days, Monday through Sunday, ready to go. Twitter, all 7 days, 4 tweets a day, ready to go. Facebook, ready to go. It's Monday. I put in like 3 hours of work this morning, and it's good to go. Didn't need a whole team for that. Now, with that being said, that doesn't mean that you can't get help from others, like having a photography team. So you've got 2 or 3 photographers who are helping to take photos and giving you the content. But, at this point, it sounds like you're not even working yet at a church doing social media. So I would say that's the first step. Now, macro level, building teams are important. And so I do want to give some practical advice on this. And the first thing that I would say is that it comes down to giving people both responsibility and privilege. So if you want them to take ownership and show up and do the hard work, you also need to give them a place of privilege that makes them feel good about themselves, right? And this is something that I'm constantly juggling here at Pro Church Tools. If I want to get the absolute best out of Roxanne, well, that's of course what I want, right? I'm the leader. I want her to work like a robot for 40, maybe 50 hours a week and put in the best work possible. But of course, Roxanne is a human with emotions and feelings and thoughts. She's not a robot, as much as I would like her to be, but that's not really what I really like. And so I have to also give Roxanne the type of stuff where she feels like, you know what? At the end of the day, this comes down to me at Pro Church Tools, and this is my responsibility. And if no one else does it, it doesn't get done. And this is why this is why I am valued at Pro Church Tools. This is why I am so important to this company, to the lifeblood of what we do, because this is my thing and I crush it. That's the way that I normally do things, is that I tie autonomy with responsibility, right? It's like, I want you to do this on your own. And I want you to be a valuable part of this team. I'm not going to micromanage you, or at least I'm going to try not to. But I also want you to then show up and actually do your job, right? And at the end of the day, you've got these two sides of the equation pulling from opposite directions. You've got the boss, it's like, just get it done. And then you have the employee or volunteer or whatever it is being like, why don't they like give me more to do? Or why don't they ever compliment my work? Or why am I being asked to do so much? Or why is it that like he thinks this about her, but this about me? Like, right? And so you have to be super empathetic about the place that your volunteer or person underneath you is coming from, right? Because they don't need to empathize with you. You are the leader. You are the one with the power, right? So you need to empathize with them and find the ways to extract the most value from them while also delivering an equal amount, if not more value to them in return. And so, like I said, the best way to do this is I like to give the people on my team things that like they do and no one else does. Like this is where Jonas exceeds. He's the video editor here at Pro Church Tools and no one edits like him. You know that, Ask Brady listeners, because he does so much great stuff just with this show and you don't even see all the other stuff that he does. Alex, he is like the only person in this office that can shoot photography like he can. Roxanne is a close second. I am a distant 18th. I am trash, okay? Right? And then Roxanne, she's the best on customer support. She does all the prep for like the blog posts and the articles and the podcast. No one else can do that. She was gone last week. I was on support. It was a mess. I just started giving away like stuff. People were like, can I get a refund? I was like, just take everything. Like, don't stop emailing me. Like someone emailed me and this will not work, Pro Church Nation, just so you know. Don't try this. It won't work because Roxanne's back. But they're like, yeah, when can I sign up for Pro Church Academy? I was like, just take it. Like, I was like, here's a lifetime subscription. I don't know what it is. I don't want to, don't send another email. Just take this $400 course and just leave me alone. Like that was my response. If that's what Roxanne did, we would not be doing the Ask Brady show because the company wouldn't exist. We would be poor. We'd go out of business, right? I'm not good at that. Roxanne's also the perfect co-host. Sorry, Alex, you were a fine fill-in, but you're not Roxanne. Alex knows it. We all know it. Vegetable Lasagna knows it. If you know that reference, shoot me a comment below. Point being, what was the point? The point is that
no idea.
What I like to do is give something to someone that is uniquely yours, especially in an organization the size of Pro Church Tools, the size of most churches, even in bigger churches. You just have more opportunity, which means you can deliver more autonomous actions and tasks to individuals. Give them something that's uniquely yours. And then when they don't come through, they can feel the repercussions and actions from it, knowing that, well, oh yeah, that was my thing, right? Like it also gives them this like sense of like true value. Like we need you. People want to feel needed. People want to feel valued, right? And the great thing is that a lot of people have at least a passion or understanding of social media in this time. And we talk a lot and have been over the last couple of weeks about millennials and their absence within churches, their malaise towards churches, their like lack of just showing up. Well, one thing to help with that is to get them involved and let them know that they're valued. And who better to help with social media than the first generation to grow up on it throughout high school and college? That's us. We know a lot about it. And so hook us up, involve us with that, and we can come alongside you, feel valued, feel like we're really helping the church and making a difference. It sounds like you have a good foundation for how you want to approach social media. So first, I would say, do you really need a team? I think that I'm doing social media mostly on my own for Pro Church Tools with the help of some scheduling tools. You could probably do the same for your church to start off. Secondly, when it comes to building a team, you want to give them, and this is my perspective on leadership, right? Like I don't pretend to be some expert leader. I am 26 years old. Sure, I oversee 8 full-time staff in office and then like several agencies and employees that are remote and all that, but I'm still no expert. Like this is just figuring it out as I go. I try to give someone, an individual, something that is uniquely theirs so they feel valued and they feel like without them, the organization cannot function. We need them. They feel needed. They feel valued. That's great. But then I also give them something that, because it's uniquely theirs, they have to show up and get it done. They can't just like slough it off and be like, yeah, oh, I forgot it. Okay, great. You didn't do it. The podcast didn't go live, Roxanne. What the heck? And then Roxanne goes, oh, wow, right. I'm a core part of this organization. I am, what are like what are the things in a wheel? What are like the rungs of the wheel?
Oh.
The
Spokes?
If you take a spoke out of a wheel, you weaken the wheel. Take a couple out, the wheel crumbles. Roxanne is a spoke.
I'm a spoke.
Just tell the people that you work with that they're spokes and everything will be fine.
Yes, I'm sure.
Hopefully some of that was helpful.
Paul.
Sorry, Paul. I just didn't show up for you today, buddy. It's my bad. But yeah, that's my thoughts on that. With that being said, thanks for joining us for another episode of the Ask Brady Show, episode number 31. If you want your question answered, you can send your video question to hello@prochurchtools.com. If you send in a video question like Sam did, your video will be immediately bumped to the top of the queue, and you will get to jump the line. And everyone loves to jump the line. That's why when you go to a theme park, they have those like fast passes. Well, you don't need to pay extra money for a fast pass on the Ask Brady Show. You just need to send in a video. Take out your phone, look into it, and be like, hey, Brady. Hey, Roxanne, and then deliver your question. You can also ask a question on Twitter and or Instagram with the hashtag AskBrady, on Facebook and YouTube in the comments below with the hashtag AskBrady. For myself and Roxanne, thanks so much for joining us. You stay classy, San Diego.